Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, and welcome to team meeting number 97. 97 already. We're getting close to 100, and as we were saying, we're going to have some excellent guests for number 100. Yeah, Rob, what have you been up to this week? What have we been up to in the last 2 weeks, even? Because you've been away, I've been away.
Yep. Last 2 weeks, I took my two kids to Kentucky for a national archery tournament. My kids shoot recurves, and in Kentucky, there's the National Outdoor Archery Federation's tournament, and they shot for 3 days, and we took an 18-hour bus ride with the people from Pelkey's Archery from St. Albans, Vermont, all the way to Louisville, Kentucky, and you crossed, New York, Pennsylvania, Ohio, and then down into Kentucky. It was a great trip. Kids did well. They had a really good time, and it does sort of, screw with your schedule. But I was able to have a couple of great meetings with Jesse, which we'll talk about a little bit later. And Easter was fun with family and church services, and then went for a great run last night where I set my own PR in the 10 miles. And so life is good. What about yourself, Daniel?
Congratulations on your personal record. Yeah, that's always fantastic when you just get past that. I have had a great Easter as well. We didn't have a church service. We went away to Delft for a weekend and left the children for the first time with her aunts. So she had a lot of fun. They had a lot of fun, and they had a sleepover. Just really fun. I haven't. Just busy, working hard. I'm working on my new side project, which is a little. Let me do that. It's a little device. It's an Arduino with a GSM phone attachment. Yeah, I didn't build it all. I'm just using it to power something else. Another project that I'm working on, which is a lot of fun. Yes, I've been having a great time now.
Great. Yeah, we both we kind of have skipped a couple of weeks. Or we haven't been online, and these things happen, and it's great to be back. And again, we have 3 more meetings till we hit the big 100, which is awesome. So let's talk a little bit about what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to update you on what Jesse's been working on. He's the Director of Institutional Sales and Outreach. We're going to talk about. Did we do
an introduction of Jesse, though? I mean, did we actually say, oh yeah, Jesse came on board?
We did that. We did that a couple of weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And Jesse's going to be joining us a little bit later, not later in this meeting, but maybe we'll bring him out for meeting 100. Yeah, we'll bring him out for meeting 100 and have him introduce and talk a little bit more about himself. So we're going to talk about Jesse's work, what he's been working on, and what the 3 of us have been meeting on, and what I've been meeting on with him. I'm going to talk about changes in the marketplace. Then we're going to discuss a couple of articles, and then after that, Daniel and I are going to have our closed meeting, which is so that's what Team Meeting 97 is. Please remember that if you have questions that you would like to send us, go to questions@oplerno.com. And if you have any things you would like to say to us, remember you can always contact us at skiff@oplerno.com or just email us via Twitter, Facebook, and all kinds of different social media. Okay, so why don't we talk about, why don't we start, and we'll reverse things a little bit and talk a little bit about Higher Ed Rev, Daniel. And then we'll talk about Jesse's stuff.
Well, Higher Ed Rev has been reasonably good the last couple of weeks. We've had a couple of articles, interesting articles being posted in. I have it. Let me just get it in front of me. We've had a very interesting series from Dr. Debbie Donsky on innovation and on the creative process and how we can measure creativity in students very, very interesting. She's on part 3 at the moment. I think she's doing a series of 12. Really, really interesting. We have some interesting other discussions, some on spatial ability, to say the difference between men and women, how you can actually address men how you can address men in certain ways so they learn better, how you address women in certain ways so they learn better. Really, really interesting. Why students should come to your visit your campus or come to your university. Some very interesting discussions there as well. We have now, was it 2,100 followers, just over 2,100 followers. Yeah, they're almost 2,200 followers on Higher Ed Ref, so that's going. Our outreach there is also going well. So I'm really happy about that. So we're reaching a lot of people. Yeah, as I said, you've not been posting so much. I've not been posting so much. Jesse, I think Jesse has some things that he has ready that he'd like to post. So we're going to see what he's going to be posting there. So, but all in all, going pretty well. Very interesting.
Yeah, and I am, I always say, what you've done with Higher Ed Rev is phenomenal. 2,100 followers. Clearly, you're touching a nerve with both what you're posting and what you're doing there, and that's great because we need to talk a lot more about what is going on and both the problems and the solutions to make education more affordable and to have a greater global reach for everyone. So let me talk a little bit about Jesse's work and how that's fitting in with that. Jesse met with Daniel and I 2 weeks ago when we got back, after I got back from Kentucky, and we started to do a bunch of onboarding of Jesse in terms of giving him access to different workspaces in Padillo. I'm going through basically all of the information and the institutional outreach that we've done before. Jesse has been spending time both digesting what's in our databases for that, and also looking at all of the different things that we have both written and also posted online about our programs. And what he's also done is, and what we sort of what he's pointed out is some of the strengths and some of the weaknesses of what we're doing in terms of our website. Daniel and I have been working on this project for a long time, and it's really important to bring new blood in because sometimes we may be a little bit too close to things. And Jesse has been working on and coming up with a plan for different options for the redesign of how we're engaging students. Right now, I think the web page is it's good, but it's a little bit more faculty centered than we would like. And really, Jesse, with his experience in working with other startups and community building and community organizing, is thinking about how we can use the website. And when you go to even the homepage, how you can start to connect and bring people into dialogue with us, but also taking a look and starting to sign up with the classes. That's slightly different than what we're doing in terms of some of the institutional pieces, but Jesse's also mining both our database and his contacts to take a look at what NGOs and what institutions and what schools are going to be interested in engaging with us. Right now we can provide the course and the professor. We can also, help and guide students, but we're going to have a much more systematic approach, and it's also great to have a third person, taking up some of that space and thought work. So he's doing a really good job. Daniel, do you want to add anything?
No. Yeah, no, I have nothing to really add. I'm really excited to Jesse join the team. It's oh dear, let me just, messing up here. I'm really excited Jesse joined the team. Yeah, he's added a lot to what we've been doing. Yeah. Yeah, sorry, I muted you accidentally, Rob. So I can do that one. Take you off mute. Yeah, so yeah, no, I unmuted you. If he's brought some great ideas there, I've been amazed with what he's been doing. Also looking at the way we're reaching our communities, also whether it's the existing communities, developing new communities for us. Yeah, it's really fun. I'm really excited.
Yeah, I also like the pace in which you know, the onboarding in the past was kind of what we were doing is giving them is really providing in some ways too much information. And right now we're really focusing Jesse again on that outreach and web design, but also giving them information about the courses, et cetera, as we move forward and are doing other things. So that's working out well. The next piece is, Daniel, why don't you talk a little bit about the changes that you're going to be making in terms of the marketplace and what people are seeing?
Okay, so well, as everybody knows, of course, we've been migrating the marketplace into Squarespace and been busy with doing this, making a Squarespace version of the marketplace. In the I think we discovered recently that there are some issues with the old marketplace, and we've decided that we're going to end of life it. So we're going to be removing that. We're not going to completely remove all the possibilities in there. For the most part, we're going to change it. So this is no longer our primary marketplace, and Squarespace is our primary marketplace, which is really, really good. We're also going to be making some changes to our mail system. I've been noticing that we're getting the spam volume that we're getting is quite high. So we're also going to be adding some additional filters to filter out to make sure that your mailbox, the email that you're getting in your mailbox, a lot of the spam gets sent to a spam mailbox, so that you can search through that to make sure that you don't miss any emails, but at least get it out of your main mailbox so your mailbox is clear of rubbish. So that should be good as well. That should be coming up in the next weeks or so. Oh, yeah, you're muted there, Rob.
I've noticed a little bit of an uptake in spam, and so that's great that we're adding that filter to it. Before we get to talk about the article that we're going to show you guys next, I want to let you know that the dissertation that I wrote, which is available on my academia.com, academia.edu website, is I'm going to be taking that down for a couple of reasons. One is we've gone through some edits with it to improve sort of the look and feel of the piece, but we're going to be throwing it up on Amazon as an ebook for a very small amount of money, $1 or $2 for a copy, because interestingly enough, it's been getting a lot of hits and also a lot of downloads, and so we'll just make that as part of the some of the offerings of Oplerno. And if you're a publisher out there and you're looking for a really interesting story about higher ed, let me know, because I'd love to send you a copy and see whether we can get it more formally published and out there. So it's going to be free at academia.edu for a little bit while longer, probably 2 weeks, and then we're going to take it down. So download your copies now before it goes up on Amazon.
Well, actually, I mean, when it goes up on Amazon, I think that the fee that we're going to be charging is going to be a nominal fee, and we'll probably...
Oh yeah, it's like a $1 or $2. That's it. Yep. Great. Let's why don't you lead us through the that really interesting article you found in terms of lead us through the interesting article.
Well, I was reading Facebook, of course, and I read, and I think it was only posted an hour or two ago. There's an article on what you teach is what you earn. Basically, it doesn't matter depending on the field that you're in, and depending on the field that you teach, your salary differs. So a new assistant professor of computer science at a public 4-year college earns about $85K, so $85,000, and a full professor of history with 20+ years of experience earns about $90K. So somebody who's just starting in a popular field, in a public subject area, earns approximately the same amount as somebody who's been teaching something for over 20 years and actually has a lot of experience, has the teaching experience, the pedagogical experience as well, and really really, really, really well based, and I think this is disturbing for one place because it's disturbing for a number of reasons. But one of the main reasons why I thought it was shocking was because this also leads to even tenured faculty are now really, really feeling the push. There are new people coming in the sciences, in the STEM fields, and they're earning a lot more money. They're getting a lot more better opportunity, a lot more opportunity to teach. Well, a lot of these things, I mean, I discussed it with University of Amsterdam and with Jan Hein, one of our professors there. That's a lot of these humanities are being ignored for the technical and the STEM pieces. While there are lots of integration possibilities with humanities and technical fields. I mean, history is not just something of not just a dead history. Certainly not is not a dead science. It's a very active science. A lot of things going in there, and very, very important for your current development as well. Yeah, for me it was surprising.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right about the fact that, if you look at the bottom in the list in terms of the sector, discipline, and rank, the differentiation in pay, which is pretty astounding when you think about it. But it's also interesting to go and look at the instructor lines. Okay. Notice what they're not putting down here, which is sort of adjunct professor by class or by discipline. Instructors are kind of the lowest level, people who come in. They don't have tenure track and they're sort of at will, but they have a full-time job. I'd really like to know where this instructor data came from, because you can see the real disparity between tenure track professors and instructors who don't have tenure, and it's a differential. Sometimes it's $7,000. Lots of times it's anywhere between $10,000 and $15,000, and sometimes even more. So that disparity between tenure track, which is in a lot of ways just disappearing, and the instructor is, it's a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just I was amazed by the figures in there. I've posted the URL also in the comments below, over in the show notes below.
And look at how in the article too, if you want access to the data package, rather than making it free, you have to go to the College and University Professional Association for Human Resources and buy it for $400 for this article. If you want the data set and you want to take a look at the, you want to see what's going on with, with these wages in higher ed. So the level of transparency to really be dealing with what is exactly happening with the data market for those people who are independent researchers or just the general public, it's behind a paywall, and it's behind a $400 paywall, which makes really knowing what's going on very, very difficult. So great find. Any interesting things that you found in the nope, there aren't a lot of comments. Of course, it's only been going on for a little bit, been posted. So yeah, great article, Daniel.
Yeah, thank you. So do you have anything?
I don't have anything this week. Well, I do actually. There's a new book out. It was just reviewed in the New York Times called American Girls by Nancy Jo Sales. And it discussed how social media is used by young women and the impacts that it's having on both their ideas and identity. It really only deals with the negative. It really only deals with women. There's not a lot you can take in terms of how being constantly connected to social media impacts young boys and young men, but the impact that the constant Instagram and Facebook and other kinds of social media is for women is pretty dramatic. Now, the methodology of the book is, she went and interviewed A lot of people from a lot of young women, ages from 13 to 19. She, changed their names, etc. She definitely, Nancy Jo Sales has an ideology behind it, which is really stressing, some of the nastier aspects of both misogyny and ways in which technology destroys the agency of women and girls. And that's pretty good. The only real, I would have loved, I think there's a follow-up book to this called American Boys, which is talking about how their identities and their concept of masculinity is also being twisted by social media and the ways in which people are communicating, and also how people define themselves sexually. And so that is a book that I'm recommending to anyone, well, to everybody, but especially those people who are parents to young women and who may not necessarily have a lot of knowledge of social media, Instagram, Snapchat, and what they're doing. And please remember that Facebook now isn't really the place where young people are exchanging information and interacting. Most of it's occurring on Snapchat, Instagram, and other places.
Yeah, and I remember, of course, Oplerno is also on Snapchat, so we don't post so much, very much on Snapchat, but we do post on Snapchat. So.
Yeah, that's the other interesting thing about the article is that our constant need to be engaged in social media is sometimes distracting for the real important work that we have to do as people. Yet social media is one of the only outlets where you can hear, alternative voices, and where people, some ways who are marginalized, can, achieve a certain amount of agency. So please go out and, buy the book, American Girls by Nancy Jo Sales.
Yeah, I've put the link in the description below, so that you can click on that and you can go there.
Yeah, great. Well, listen, thank you all very much for tuning in. We'll talk with you next week, and we'll see you online.
Thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll see you online.